Let's go back now to the village of Cratfiled in Suffolk and Jonathan.
Yes, Susie, well, we've already heard from Roger about how the bad weather has affected his trade here, or not affected it in terms of tonight. But what about the rest of business? What happens when the bad weather strikes? Mike Liggins has been out and about in Suffolk also, in Eye, in fact, which is about 10 miles that way, and he's been talking to some of the winners and losers.
One of the big recovery lorries leaves its depot in Eye. A lorry with animal feed is stuck in nearby Tasborough. It's only a very slight incline, but the road is icy and the lorry's wheels can't grip. The men from Roy Humphrey are on 24-hour call-out.
We just have to drop whatever we're doing, which we are on call 24 hours a day, to make haste and get to the casualty vehicle and get him back on the road or where he needs to be as quickly as possible.
Anglia Freight in Eye run 30 lorries around the region. For them, snow is a real nuisance, but the 50 staff, drivers, forklift operators and office staff turn up whatever the weather.
We're quite fortunate here that our staff are quite loyal, although they come from different parts of the county. By hook or by crook, they always manage to get in and turn up for work, which we're more than grateful for.
At the Cornwallis Arms, it's lovely and warm, but really very quiet. Duty manager Jacqueline has time for a coffee. A conference for 60 people has been postponed, and there's no one at the bar.
Thursday lunchtime would normally be quite a busy lunchtime for us, and we've really noticed it today.
Yeah, you'd normally have a few in.
Yeah.
But how many have you had today?
4.
Of course, snow is good news for some. At Workwear in Eye, they sell warm clothes, boots and shooting gear, and the customers have been flooding in.
A lot of people do sort of a lot of shooting, and they sell a lot of shooting stuff, so most people have got four-wheel drives like myself, so we get about all right. So, lovely old job, that is.
By the way, the lorry was rescued to go on its way in Eye, and around the region, business is making the best of a bad job. Mike Liggins, BBC Look East, Suffolk.
Now, it's all right if you've got a roof over your head or in a warm pub tonight, but for the homeless people, this sort of weather condition can be almost unbearable, really. But in Ipswich, they're getting some special help. The Health Service parks an emergency outreach van in the town centre every Wednesday night, and they're there to provide medical attention, while the Salvation Army provides hot food. And we were there last night to see how it went.
OK, take your temperature.
Take your temperature.
Martin Edwards is homeless and alcohol dependent.
That'll be cold.
It will.
He suffers from asthma and now has problems with his ears.
And you are 35.5, so that's...
I'm freezing.
That's very cold.
I am, very cold.
The free medical help and food is his lifeline.
It's very good. Very, very, very helpful. Otherwise I'll have to go stealing food or something to just, survive.
Anybody want more soap? More chips in there.
The health outreach van receives more customers when food is on offer. It carries everything you'd find in a GP's surgery.
People that are sleeping rough obviously are much more at risk of chest infections, poor nutrition, so they don't eat well, they perhaps have alcohol or addiction problems, and in that way they're more prone to things that you and I would fight off easily.
Hod appreciates the services on offer. He's 40 and been on the street half of his life. Home is a tent.
Once you're in the tent, get a candle lit, listen to radio, that's not too bad. If it weren't for people like this, I've been all over the country, but I wouldn't be here now if it weren't for them.
Most of these live in tents like Hod, shop doorways or churchyards. They're happy to take hand-me-downs, anything to keep warm.
Please help by giving us some sleeping bags and things like that, warm socks. A lot of these people can't help themselves, they have other problems. Obviously, if they didn't have major problems, they wouldn't be down here on the street.
The services are not just popular, but essential, especially in our present weather conditions. Debbie Tubby, BBC Look East.
And for more information on the important work of the Salvation Army, you can go to their website. It's salvationarmy.org. Time for me to get involved in that pub quiz now. Back to you, Susie.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Of course, many of us relied on the radio this morning to find out how the snow was affecting travel and school arrangements. Here's how some of the region's breakfast presenters saw today's big story.
Many schools were only deciding to close while people were actually on the school run, so that was proving increasingly difficult for parents who had to go off to work and get their children to school this morning. The other thing was truck drivers caught up in Operation Stack heading to the port of Felixstowe. They've been there for several hours and could be there for several more hours or even days. They're worried where their next hot drink and meal is coming from.
The callers to the breakfast show have been telling us the main problem has been ice rather than snow. Now, most of the major routes have been gritted, but some roads, some side roads, have been a bit slippery this morning, and lots of people telling me that pavements as well are very slippery because they're not gritted most of the time.
One lady on the show, Marcel, completely iced in the New England area of Peterborough, couldn't get out of the car park. We sent our reporter out there, Ben Stevenson. While he was there, she was trying to get to a hospital because her granddaughter was giving birth and she couldn't get a taxi company to go into her iced-up car park to pick her up. So our intrepid reporter took her all the way to hospital, and the baby was born late last night, £10 1 ounce.
I think for once that the old cliche, the advice about not making a journey unless it's really necessary, has been taken seriously in Norfolk. The city centre of Norwich is like a ghost town. I think a lot of people are taking a bonus day off today.
The listeners have been absolutely brilliant because the number of texts and phone calls we're getting into the station here to keep us updated with the things that we can't spot, because we can't spot absolutely everything, has been great. We've been able to cover the situation, as I say, with the schools, the roads, the airport. The railways have been so problematic around here recently that there's been problems on those as well.
We had one great call from a guy who'd spent Christmas in Germany, and he said, "Do you think it's bad here? Go over to Europe, mainland Europe." He said, I've been in Germany, the autobahns weren't gritted. Holland, it was like an ice rink. I'm glad to be home in Essex.
And of course you can get the latest from them tomorrow morning as well. Now Julie is going to take us back in time for a moment.
I am. Let me transport you back to 1987. In the January, the snowfall was even heavier. There was around 35 centimetres in parts of Norfolk, Suffolk and Essex, so around 14 inches, over a foot, and it drifted in strong winds. And temperatures, daytime highs of -6 on the coast, -8 inland. So today's top temperatures of anything between -1 and +2, well, in comparison, they're positively balmy. So what lies...
Thank you to everyone who sent us in pictures. Keep them coming. Goodbye.